wouldn't mind just giving your name into the record, please.
Yes, my name is Ronald L. Felton, President of the Wilkes-Barre branch of the NAACP.
Thank you.
To the Honorable Mayor Layton and Wilkes-Barre City Council, in light of the recent murders that have occurred in the city of Wilkes-Barre, the Wilkes-Barre NAACP would like to offer its full endorsement and support to Mayor Layton and Police Chief DeSoy in their efforts to combat crime here in the city of Wilkes-Barre. We believe the 3 strikes ordinance passed by City Council and the hiring of additional police officers are steps in the right direction. We offer this support so long as these public safety efforts stop short of racial profiling. In his address to a joint session of Congress on February 27, 2001, President George W. Bush declared, and I quote, that racial profiling is wrong and we will end it in America, end quote. He directed the Attorney General to implement this policy. Just about every family, in one manner or another, has been impacted by the scourge of drugs in our community. If we see suspicious activity going on in our communities, we should report this activity using the City of Wilkes-Barre website's anonymous online Wilkes-Barre Crime Line. The Wilkes-Barre NAACP encourages all residents to take a proactive role in fighting crimes in our neighborhoods and communities. We understand that this is a problem that law enforcement cannot tackle alone. It is our obligation to our children to provide them with a safe environment in which to grow up. We need to bring back the days when children can play in front of their homes and walk up and down the streets without the fear of drive-by shootings or being victimized. In general, I believe race relations in the city of Wilkes-Barre are good. Our problems are in the institutionalization of racism through the lack of diversity in local and county government. Through the efforts of Mayor Layton, Reverend Brewster, and Reverend Walker, instead of building barriers to segregate us, they are building bridges to unite us. Darlene Duggins Magdalensky brings our communities together through her drug-free block parties and neighborhood cleanups, and the Wilkes-Barre NAACP through their annual diversity/people's picnic. No one has a crystal ball to be able to predict when a murder is about to occur. However, as adults, we are obligated to report any suspicious activity we see taking place in our neighborhoods and communities. The Wilkes-Barre NAACP supports the city's efforts to help its communities become crime-free and family-friendly places to work and live. And I have just a few questions in regard to this. 85% of the murders committed in the city of Wilkes-Barre this year have been by African Americans, who only make up 10% of the city population. All too often, the root cause is the proliferation of drugs in our communities. What assurances can you provide that this new law won't lead to racial profiling? When the city closes a property down, have you considered the innocent law-abiding people who will be impacted by this law? Have you anticipated the ACLU challenging this law? And do you believe it will pass constitutional muster? I understand the purpose behind this law is for property owners to take responsibility for who they are renting to. Will this encourage racial profiling? Instead of moving forward, we are moving backwards. When we choose to engage in high-risk activities such as using or selling illegal drugs, we must be prepared to suffer the consequences of those choices. Unfortunately, we don't hear about the majority of African Americans who are living in the city of Wilkes-Barre, hard-working and making positive contributions in their neighborhoods and communities. Bottom line, we have to decide what type of community we want to live in. Ultimately, the people living in these neighborhoods and communities have to be the eyes and ears for law enforcement. And our final question is, just how secure is the anonymous online Wilkes-Barre Crime Line? Thank you.
Thank you.
Ron, so I answer your questions. Start with number 1, please. I couldn't write it down.
Okay.
I believe it had to do with the one-strike ordinance and
Yes, okay.
racial profile.
We rely on the investigation, Ron, of what taking place in each individual unit. I emphasize individual unit. So a perfect example, if we refer to Sherman Hill, can't shut the entire complex down, but we shut it down to the individual unit if illegal activity is taking place. Race has nothing to do with it. If they're in there doing illegal activity, illegal guns, we're gonna shut them down. This was all geared towards, our police officers would go in and raid a house and take drug suspects out of there, take cash out of there, take drugs out of there, take weapons out of there. Within the next week, we have another problem tenant in there. And we're finding out that the absentee landlords don't know who's living in their properties. They're renting it to Mike Mayer and Nancy, or Maureen moving in. And Maureen's selling drugs, and Mike's not even there. But that, Ron, is what was happening. We need our landlords, especially landlords that are from out of the area, to pay attention, have their manager pay attention to who's actually living in it. And so race has nothing to do with it. Crimes being committed, they're gonna be shut down. What was number two?
Okay, number two was, when you do shut down these properties with multiple units, the law-abiding citizens within those properties, what impact is that gonna have on them?
They'll probably be happy because they got rid of a bad tenant.
That I understand, but will they have to relocate?
No, they're only the unit where the illegal activity is taking place.
And that, okay. That's.
Perfect example is Carlisle Street. Two
Right.
units, one shut down, the other one's occupied.
Okay. And the other one was, have you anticipated the ACLU challenging this law, and do you believe it will pass constitutional muster?
We believe it will, and we did our legal department, and with the assistance from outside help, we did very thorough and extensive research on the legal side of it. We believe it will be fine, and we have had some conversations with representation from the ACLU. So we believe we're on solid legal ground here.
Okay, thank you. And then the next one was, I understand the purpose behind the law is for property owners to take responsibilities as to who they are renting to. And again, it goes back to the racial profiling. And I guess you can't answer for the property owners, but I'm guessing, will it encourage them to start profiling people based on race?
I can't answer for landlord. I believe they do a thorough background check, and thorough background check comes back clean. I don't think it would matter to them what race it is, as long as it's a good tenant that's not gonna disturb the other tenants in the property. But that would be up to each individual landlord.
Is there a mechanism for making sure that when renting out these units, that they're doing background checks on everybody that wants to rent a unit?
That's up to each individual property owner. That's the problem, Ron. It's obvious that these absentee landlords aren't doing thorough background checks. If they were, they wouldn't be renting to these individuals, especially ones that are habitual crime offenders.
All right. And the next one was, well, let's talk about moving forward and moving backwards, but I guess what I'm basically saying is that we need to basically get back to the kind of community that I moved here. When I moved here over 20 years ago, I made a pledge that I was going to give something back to this community. So I did so in becoming involved in the mini football program. I eventually became the president of that program until I took over as president of the Wilkes-Barre NAACP. But there's a lot of people who've come from out of town, who are working hard, but you don't read about them. You don't hear about them because they're not news. They're not news people. You know, that's what you see. And I just want to speak up for those people who have relocated here, like myself, who are working hard and are good property owners and are doing the right things.
Ron, we deal with it every day. We deal with the 2 newspapers. We deal with now 3 TV stations. And the press is here. They know how I feel. Good news does not get reported.
Right.
A good news story is located in the 15th, 17th, 19th page. Bad news stories on the top page. So it's something we've dealt with. We're dealing with it every day. And it's frustrating on our end. We believe this is a great city to raise a family, to work in, socialize in, and we believe it can only get better.
And the other thing is, I have reviewed your 3 strikes ordinance, and to me, from what I'm reading, it appears reasonable. You're saying three incidents 3 incidents, a combination of any 3 incidents within a 6-month period. And if you're having 3 or more incidents within a 6-month period, that's a lot of activity. That's a lot of activity going on, if it's illegal activity. So I think that sounds pretty reasonable. So I just wanted to say that we support you. We know it's hard. We know you can't do it alone. We know that you need the help of the community. I encourage people to, I guess, participate in Crime Watch and use the anonymous line. And how secure is that line?
Secure.
It is secure. And these people's names will never be revealed or anything like that.
I receive confidential information on a daily basis. When we ever get the people involved, they ask to remain anonymous.
Okay. I thank you. I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.